The Stone Age, a simpler time, back when your biggest worry was a saber-toothed tiger and your best weapon was literally just a rock. Yes, the cutting edge of military technology was a heavy stone you found on the ground. Don't laugh, a rock is surprisingly effective. One good hit to the head and it's game over. It was cheap, easy to find, and didn't require reloading. The only downside, you had to get really close to use it. Eventually, some genius realized, I hate that guy over there, but he is too far away to hit with my rock. So they tied a sharp stone to a stick. Boom, the spear was born. Now you could stab people from a socially distanced safety. Then came the atlatl, a stick to throw your other stick faster. It sounds dumb, but it turned a spear into a high-velocity projectile capable of piercing mammoth hide. Humans were officially the deadliest hunters on the planet. Fast forward to the Aztec civilization. They didn't have metal swords, but they had the maquihuatl, a wooden cricket bat lined with obsidian blades sharper than surgical steel. It could decapitate a horse in one swing. Meanwhile, the Romans were watching gladiators fight with fishing gear. The Retiarius gladiator used a trident and a net, no armor, just speed and a big fork. Their strategy was to tangle you up and poke you like a piece of meat. In Egypt, they preferred the khopesh, a sickle sword that looked like a question mark. It wasn't just for cutting. The hook shape allowed soldiers to snag an enemy's shield and pull it away, leaving them open for a bad day. But the deadliest weapon wasn't a sword, it was teamwork, the phalanx formation. Hundreds of soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder, bristling with long spears. It was a human tank that could roll over anything in its path.
The phalanx was great, but it had one weakness: walls. You can't stab a stone wall to death. To break into the fortified castles of the Middle Ages, you needed something bigger. You needed siege weapons. First up, the siege hook. A brutally simple concept. It was a giant hook on a pole. You grab the wall and you pull. It's like dentistry, but for architecture. Effective, simple, 4 out of 5 stars. Then came the trebuchet. Do not confuse it with a catapult. Catapults are for babies. The trebuchet used a counterweight to launch 200-pound stones over 300 meters. It was the artillery of the ancient world. It could destroy walls from 3 football fields away. Imagine sitting in your living room and a Honda Civic flies through your window. That is the trebuchet experience. 5 out of 5 stars. Perfection. The ballista was basically a crossbow on steroids. It fired massive bolts that could skewer multiple soldiers like a human shish kebab. Precise, deadly, and very cool to look at. Another 5 stars. And then, the battering ram. A log, carried by dudes. They just banged it against the door repeatedly. It worked, sure, but where's the elegance? Where is the engineering? Consider the user experience. Splinters in your hands, oil pouring on your head, and if you drop it, goodbye toes. It's effective, but annoying. 0 stars. Do better, medieval engineers. But land wasn't the only battlefield. At sea, the Byzantines invented Greek fire, a mysterious sticky liquid that could burn on water. It was basically medieval napalm. The recipe was so secret, we still don't know how they made it. We've reached the turning point, the weapon that changed everything, the gun. But it didn't start with an AK-47. In the year 950, the Chinese put a tube of gunpowder on a spear and called it a fire lance. It was basically a flamethrower mixed with a shotgun. They added pellets and debris inside the tube. It wasn't accurate, but it was terrifying. This set the stage for a new goal in warfare: killing from a distance, instantly. Fast forward a few centuries, the Industrial Revolution happened. We stopped making things by hand and started mass-producing death. World War I was the debut party for all these new toys. Soldiers saw the introduction of tanks and airplanes, but the true queen of the battlefield was the machine gun. It forced everyone to dig holes and hide. The era of the glorious charge was over. But bullets weren't the worst thing. Imagine you are in a trench. It's quiet. Suddenly, a yellowish-brown cloud appears on the horizon, moving silently with the wind. You can't shoot it. You can't stop it. Mustard gas. It didn't just choke you. It burned your skin, blinded your eyes, and filled your lungs with liquid. It was psychological torture. Even if you survived, you were broken forever. It was so horrific that after the war, the entire world agreed, okay, maybe that was too much. Chemical weapons were banned by international treaties. In a war that killed 20 million people, banning a weapon says a lot. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. A few decades later, a certain angry painter with a funny mustache decided he wanted a sequel. The Allies and the Axis entered a desperate race. The goal? To build the final bomb, a weapon so destructive that the enemy would have no choice but to quit the game instantly. It was all about compressing uranium-235 to trigger a chain reaction, basically splitting an atom to release the energy of a sun. It was dangerous, complex, and cost billions. The result was Little Boy, dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. It ended World War II in an instant. You can't fight an enemy that can delete a city from the map with a single button press. But humans are never satisfied. We wanted bigger. Enter the Cold War. Scientists discovered nuclear fusion. Instead of splitting atoms, we mashed them together like stars do. The hydrogen bomb was born. October 30th, 1961, the Soviet Union tested the Tsar Bomba, the most powerful explosive ever created by human hands. It was the king of bombs, designed to scare the world. How big was it? The mushroom cloud rose 67 kilometers high. That is 7 times higher than Mount Everest. If you were standing 100 kilometers away, you would still get third-degree burns. There is no defense against this. The only strategy is mutually assured destruction. If you shoot, I shoot, and we both die. It's a Mexican standoff with the apocalypse. Perhaps it's time to stop inventing ways to kill each other and start doing something productive like hitting that subscribe button. I am the monocle black hole, and I am really smart. Farewell.